Good day everyone, Happy New Year. It's that time again. The two events in the year where we get GSSR. So I reckon we'll go ahead and give her a go here and see what we come up with. Actually quite a few active banners that aren't GSSR right now. Shark's up. Maid also. This strange lad. Don't know who that is. And of course, go over here and we start the GSSR banners. Could just went left to get there quicker, but when have we ever done things the easy way? So here's the first banner. It's actually pretty good GSSR when it comes to odds and the like, because there are plenty of separations and the groups aren't too large. This is one of the larger ones, but there's a lot of really popular characters in here. Aokita, Ibuki, Squirtoria, Ishtar, Brunhilde, Reshkigal, and Shiki. So this is actually one of the banners I'm sort of in between. Here's the other one. We got Jorfin over here. Got Shisho, Shark, Benienma, Bride, Musashi, and Sei. Funny thing is, this account actually got a copy of Sei from a previous GSSR. So it'd be kind of funny if end up getting her again. Well, kind of funny, but not really. Of this one I would want either MP2 Jorfin's fine, another copy of Shisho would be excellent. Musashi I wouldn't be upset with. Bride would be the big target there because she's such a useful support and like the only one of the real big supports that I have, because I keep putting off rolling for her for whatever reason. So that would be nice. Wouldn't dislike Benienma either. In general, I could use some more interesting single target sabers, because right now all my accounts kind of have like welfare ones that are all the same with each other, really, between the accounts. Next up is your it's not a bad banner for certain. If you haven't gotten Castoria, it's not bad. Vinky Lily, really good farmer. Mysterious Heroine X. So she's actually going to be getting a banner in a couple weeks because Saber Wars 2 rerun starts in a couple days, and about a week into that event is when her banner comes up. It's going to be her instead of Echon, instead of Mysterious Heroine X Alter, like the original run of the event, because X was the pre-campaign banner, but since this is a rerun, there is no pre-campaign banner, so XA gets the shaft. Of course, Samu Musashi, really a really good unit if you can get her MP2 plus. Karma's amazing. Ilya's not bad, especially when she gets her buffs. It's her biggest downside is that Sonzong's already in the game and at worst is equally as good as her, but is permanent, so you can use tickets on her when those come along. or she can spook you at any time, so you could feasibly get more copies of her without having to go out of your way to roll for them. These two lasses are fairly underrated. So decent little banner there, wanting any of those. This account, this being my main, is actually going to roll for Mysterious Heroine X when her banner comes along. That'll be our first rolling for this account. Well, besides the GSSR itself, I suppose. Alright, next up we have Scotty. There's Alter, Maid Alter, Raika, Shooting, Pinky, Cleopatra and Renesse, and of course Samonero, who she's actually gotten quite a few banners between this year and the next year, from what I recall, so you'll have opportunities to roll for her if you like her. I actually would like to roll for her at some point, but it's a little fuzzy. I suppose the Buster account would be the obvious one, but haven't really given it a great deal of thought just yet. Should probably get on doing that. Himiko, she'll be having a banner starting in a couple days. How, Summer BB, Abigail, Melt, Potato Chips, and Summer Abby. Of course, here's Summer Kiara, Ron Hoff, Jean Alter, Mao Nobu, Okitan, Okusai, and then the Naughty Nun version of Kiara, and Bunny Toria. Here you can be Rorma, Moriarty, Sigurd, there's Gil, Orion, and Saber Storfo, and Arthur. Dog Juno, Hijikata, Ishkanda, Kentucky, Ivan, Gramps, and Marilyn. This is a small banner. You've got Voyager, Omakusa, Holmes, the Dear Emperor, Edmund, and this lad over here, Limbo. And that's all of them. So yeah, quite a few nice little banners to choose from here. But again, in my case, I'm stuck between this one and this one. So, the closest thing to a dud on this banner would be Tamashark, I suppose. I guess Say. Now, I really like Say, but I do have her. Obviously, I have her on the quick account. Far higher MP level than I'd ever get her on this account, because I'm not going to actually actively roll for her. But I do have her at MP1, so at MP2 would be okay, I guess. But I prefer this one if it was between the two AoE archers here, just because Jolfin's unique to my accounts. And Thomas Shark, what do I even have her as? She's MP3, yeah. Oh, that reminds me. So this New Year's special little panel event thing. So there's a reason that I haven't done any of it, besides the one mission completion I got for doing the little trial quest for the new server. And that's because the quests don't all unlock at the same time. In fact, it will be the 5th before they fully unlock. So, which is at the same time the Saber Wars event starts. So it's best to put them off until then, because a lot of them overlap and you'll just put extra work on yourself where you can just clear them out really quickly all at once. Instead of, oh, I just grinded this free quest to clear this one, and now this new event, this new challenge opened up tomorrow, and it asks for really similar stuff that same quest would have given me. Whoopsie daisy. So you just save time that way. Okay, where were we? Now I don't want to go this way. This is closer, probably. Probably. Okay. It actually is a pretty tough choice, because we have two, well, an actual dud and a semi-dud. Benny would be the next closest, probably, because of the two arts, single target sabers, I'd rather bride. Now this one. Honestly, maybe this one's the one I should go with. I do really like Ibuki, but it'd be one of those cases where, well, now I have a copy of her, if I got her, and then it'd be about trying to figure out how I could roll for more, because she's AoE and AoE servants, so. Well, she's an interesting one because she has massive crits, so she actually is perfectly fine even at MP1. It's more of the principle of the thing, and I've been looking for an excuse to roll for her anyway. It's actually right now I think I decided on maybe that spare account. We'll see how things work out. But Spratoria would be really nice to get, and I am looking for an excuse to roll for her at some point. Unfortunately, the one banner that I can think of that she gets in the future is really awkward. And there's a different banner that is just better for me. I think it's a banner that has Jorfin on it, come to think of it. It's an anniversary banner, or around anniversary. Have Ishtar in B2. The third copy of her wouldn't be bad, I suppose. Shiki would be the dud here. Just the outright dud, because unfortunately Saber Shiki just... she's just not very good, even after they buffed her. That being said, I don't think she's like terrible or anything, but she's the obvious dud of this bunch. The rest would be funny because they'd be in P5. It would be in P2 Bren because I got a copy of her for GSSR. Arkita would be interesting, but I would definitely want to roll for more of her. I'm trying to think when she gets banners, if that's even feasible. I'm thinking no, actually. Huh. What do I even have for savers? Oh yeah, I need to level this lad. I thought I already leveled you. I suppose I have to level both of them. I'm just absolutely lousy for AoE sabers. It's kind of absurd. And Barghest is on the way. Come on now, you're killing me. I do think it's funny, right? Actually, by spooks me on the quick account after I'd already done this on this one. I swear. What MP level are you at? 3. You came from GSSR, didn't you? Because you're story locked. I vaguely remember that. Vaguely. But I am right in this account has. Or maybe I was mistaken. Okay, I take it back. This account doesn't have say. I guess it was Saber Stolfo that I ended up with that matched the quick account. They may have been just theoretical in the head that I was going through. And you do that update to JPS where all the banners are kind of shown in thumbnails at the bottom, so you can just click on one. So yeah, I guess Say would be more of a dud than I expected, so she and Tamashark would both be duds. Speaking of Tamashark, she gets she's getting a buff next New Year. I believe it's next New Year. It's not this one, is it? If she does, it would be down here. Fire. I keep forgetting about that. I feel like this one's just safer because I wouldn't mind any of these three or her. And, well, I say wouldn't mind. I'd be like these. Okay, so Bride, Musashi, Shishore, Jolfin. Good to go. Let's be peachy keen on that. And I'd be perfectly fine with Benny as well. It's just these two that would be the dud. Whereas over here, Like again, it would be MP5 or Resk, but I mean, it's already kind of overkill MP4. Oh, good day, mate. Let's go and just trying to decide between these two banners here. Okay, so yeah, there would be an MP5 or Resk, but it's a bit overkill. She's already MP2, so it doesn't. It's superfluous getting more copies of either of the Rin bases. Scritoria would be the one that I would want probably the most, because Archer is my weakest 5-star single target Archer, because I don't have a 5-star single target Archer, so that would be really helpful, but that's a 1 in bloody 7. Shiki would be a dud. Ibuki would. Okay, I think I'm just gonna do this one, which is the one I had originally planned on anyway. Let's do it before I change my mind again and we're here for another bloody hour. Till June. June. Summer event? See the next summer event. Oh! Right, this year's a bit funky with timelines, so it might be Lost Belt 6, so you'd be rolling for Morgan and then perhaps for Melusine. Okay, fingers crossed. I'm on the right banner, right? Yeah, just double triple check. Remember, you're not paranoid if someone is out to get you. Oh. Already? Lancer. Oh. I think that's my 8th copy of her. There's an Archer. How about them coin flips, eh? Oh, I think this is my first formal craft. Oh, apparently not. Working on Camelot, told to wait till June for Castoria. Oh, a Tiger. Castoria is definitely useful, but it's a bit awkward because being a support, it's, well, I suppose another Tiger. I suppose you can borrow DPS from support list. Yeah. You know. She's definitely helpful. Now. A lot of it comes down to with what you currently have. Are you happy with being stuck with that until all that time's passed? To roll for her. Because that's quite a ways away, and you can, since it's a new account, you can end up getting quite a bit of quartz just going through the story. So even if a banner popped up that you took a liking to, there's really no worry about giving her a go. You know, as long as you're willing to hold back afterwards and then save for her. In fact, I'd recommend you picking a banner before then. Heracles will get you a long way, get his bond up, get his skills up, you'll be good to go. You can presumably, since I'm guessing he's your starter servant, so presumably you're taking him into just about every fight. So that was quite an unlucky roll there, but oh well, it happens. Tell you what, just for kicks and giggles, we'll do 10 rolls here on Maid Altar, just because she came during the first GSSR I ever rolled for. But before that, let me see if I can remember their names. So, Heracles. Right here. Here's your bread and butter right here. This is his Bond C. You get him to Bond level 10 and slap that on him and he can solo the majority of the game, honestly. Be good to go. Nice. Seems like you're on the right track. When it comes to other free to play units, I would recommend. Oh, I picked on the right thing. Okay, well, since we're on Archer here, David is an amazing choice. In fact, one of the first skills that you can get up to rank 10 is his Harp of Healing, because that AoE evade is invaluable. It is invaluable to protecting your team from MPs, from Noble Phantasms early on. Besides him, big nuker is Robin. As long as you get his poison on him or on the enemies, his MP is just going to melt them pretty heavily. In fact, poison is so important to him that I would recommend slapping. Yeah, we'll just grab this for example. Okay, where are... Let's see if I can even remember. This is a poison command card, and I'm pretty sure this gets added to the shop at some point. A poison command card on Robin, so he can guarantee his poison, because sometimes they resist his skill. There are a couple of them, but I'm... This is Curse. Is this poison? This is poison. I think there are about 3 of them, but I'm drawing a blank on which the other one is. Maybe the third one hasn't chopped yet. Seems to be the case. Okay, back to here. Alright, so recap: David, Robin, grade to level. See, a lot of people would suggest Uriel because when she's good in a fight, she pretty much destroys it, but there are extremely few fights where she can do that in because they actively started designing fights, boss fights, against allowing her to charm lock and just roll over bosses. So yeah, Robin and David, bang for your buck when it comes to Archer. Saber, Bedivere is the best one. The issue with him is he's story locked. So if you're willing to roll a bit on the story banner after you clear Camelot, then you can't go wrong with Bedivere. Now besides that, I don't have him because I don't particularly care for him, but Caesar is your best bet for single target saver, short of a gold one. Yeah, it tends to have that effect on people. Lancer wise, Lancer is just lousy with good units. Kukulane is cream of the crop, one of the single best servants in the entire game, regardless of rarity or class or any of that. You obviously you want to prioritize getting his protection from arrows up because you want that to be up as often as possible. And he just he sticks. He does a lot of damage, and they keep buffing him for some bloody reason. Just insane unit. He does a lot of damage. He's nigh unkillable. He's just as sticky as Heracles is. Just easily one of the best units in the game. If you throw some Grails on him too, he really shows off because that extra damage really piles up because of how long he lives. So yeah, if you're going to raise 1 to 3 star Lancer, that's your lad right there. Ryder, Bushi is outstanding. She's just got a really solid kit that has another buff coming towards the end of this month to her second skill, which gives her a big star bomb. Saber, you have Caesar. Okay, you're good for Saber. Well, for now. Archer, David, there you go. So, since David recently got a buff to his Noble Phantasm, he actually does pretty good damage. He actually has a really good attack stat for a 3-star servant. It's one of the highest. Romulus, he's perfectly serviceable AoE Lancer. Medea is a bit tragic because of how they ruined her MP, but she's really useful because she removes enemy buffs, so you definitely want to so you're definitely doing good having her around. When it comes to actual DPS caster wise though, unfortunately when it comes to 1 to 3 stars, it's like your best DPS caster is a bloody berserker, pretty much. So would be Lubu for someone that doesn't have Heracles, but you have Heracles, so you're good to go. Kurstan, he's fine. The best assassin. Okay, so the best 1 to 3 star assassin is Asuko, aka 100 Faces or 100 Personas, weird name that they named her in English for some reason. She is outstanding, but she is very reliant on having her skills leveled high. She won't really start to shine until you get those leveled up. But the way the cooldowns end up working out is generally by the time she needs healing, this will be back up. And this removes her buffs, but by then the buffs would have wore off. It tends to work that way when you fight with her. Kojiro, okay. Her MP is also outstanding because it does really good damage. It's upgraded. It lowers the art card resistance for the enemy, so it ramps up. So if you can spam her MP a bit, it's going to do more and more damage. But here's the big thing: decreased critical rate. It decreases the enemy's crit rate by 50%. So if you hit them twice with it, they can't crit until it wears off. And crits are usually what kill you. And you mentioned Kojiro, he's the other one that's really good. He and Asuko's kits are insane, and they both do really well with Grails. Now, I haven't really leveled his skills and such because I focus on Asuko personally. But if you throw some Grails on either of those, you can't really go wrong. They're both really bloody good. Yeah, FP summon. And it's only going to continue to get worse because the pool is super diluted. That's why I suggested you might want to just go ahead and find a banner that interests you and roll on it before Cast Oratoria, because it's handy to get some early rolls into your account just to actually fill out the 3-star roster and get their MP levels up a bit. And get some good craft essences, that's a big one as well. Especially because you're on a new account, so you're going to just have free Saint Quartz just thrown at you for a while, as long as you're playing it a bit every day. And so there's really no worry in getting that number back up, as long as you're, again, playing. Okay, we were on Ryder. So Ryder, yeah, Ushi is just the queen of 1 to 3 star riders. She's really good, and she's going to get even better soon because she gets the buff to her second skill. But even as she is right now, she's outstanding. Just really solid, good damage, has an evade, charisma for the allies, MP gain up, quick card up, just good stuff, good stuff. Alternatively, another really good 1 to 3 star rider is Oriki over here. He's also quite a good one if you take a shine to him instead of Ushi. She's better than him. Now she is better, but he's perfectly fine. He's still really good. So yeah, you have a couple of options there. And with AoE riders, Alexander is really useful because he's got a universal charm, but he can also remove the enemy's buffs, which is very useful. And Medusa's quite strong as well, so they're all about equally as good as each other. Nice too. Alright, and of course, St. George. Now, this is it, so you can level him up as a tank. So, okay, since you have Heracles, you have the capability of soloing tough fights with him. And the way you set that up, I'm not sure if you've seen how you set that up, but basically you use 2 taunt servants and then a DPS, whatever servants you want to solo with. And then you have the enemies kill the taunts in the first 2 turns, and to where you're left with your solo servant. That's why I recommend keeping 2 copies of St. George. 1 to level, because in really tough fights that are going a long way, he can buy you a lot of free turns because his taunt is for 3 turns instead of 1. And with him being leveled, he can stick around. Yeah, he's unfortunately you're stuck with friend point summons for him, but make sure to hold on to him when he comes along because he's really useful. So he has guts, so he can at minimum buy you 2 turns. But yeah, I'd recommend having 1 of him to level and then 1 to keep at level 1. And of course the one you leveled is the one you want to get to MP 5, even though you don't really use his MP all that much, but it's better than nothing. And I guess I'll go over to Lancer. With Lancer, you have the same deal with Leonidas. You want a copy of him to level, and then a copy to keep at 1 because he has a taunt as well. Caster, how do you know what level to keep them at? Well, okay, so in this case, if you recall how I said you set up solos, the idea is you want the taunts to die in the first 2 turns, so you want them as lower level as possible. So you want to keep them at level 1, so the enemy's easily going to just kill them with like 1 hit each, or 1 or 2 hits each. So you can actually properly do your solo. That's why you'd keep those at level 1. Now, there are other cases where you keep a support servant at minimum level, but has all the skills you need available. So, like Waver, for example, if you only wanted all 3 of his skills, you'd get him to level 70 and then ascend him to where he gets his 3rd skill. If you wanted to somehow taunt Waver, it's for servants that you'd want to use their skills and then have them die really quickly to cycle in another servant, but that's not really something you need to worry about as a new player. That's honestly something whales worry about more than anything. All you need to worry about is having taunts at level 1 for if you want to do solos, which are a lot of fun, so I'd recommend giving them a try. Plus you have Heracles, who's arguably the best solo unit in the game, so... Now when it comes to Grails and getting to level 100 and such, gameplay wise, it's not necessary for a lot of units. Okay, so I mentioned specifically, if you're talking strictly gameplay, let's go back to. So I mentioned like Asiko and Kojiro being good with Grails. That's because they have outstanding kits. They have really good skills and MPs. The only thing that would hold them back is their rarity. So the big low rarity means they have lower stats. But if you throw Grails on them, it helps that. Yeah, and with Heracles is a good example because so the way you use him is you throw the Bond Craft Essence on him. Well, the Bond Craft Essence, that's not what I need to go to. I need to go here. The Bond Craft Essences don't really add any stats, unlike regular Craft Essences. So, for example, right here, getting 1800 attack from this one, but you're getting 100 attack from this one, and there's nothing you can do about that. So that's why Heracles, even though he's a 4-star and has beefy stats as is, he's not getting any extra stats from his Craft Essence, and that's why the extra levels are really good for him, because it makes up the difference. Let's see. And Ushi's another one that's really good with Grails. Also, a lot of the best of the best low star units are because they have really good kits to make up for their lower stats. So then when you add the stats to them, it just makes them really solid. Like, if you want to see some of the crazy stuff high-level coups can do that are played well in solos, you can check out a lad called Honoko Green. You know, yeah, you can check his channel out. He's got a lot of solo videos with coup and different units, and it's bonkers the stuff he can do. And of course, at the end of the day, units that you really like, you can't go wrong with grailing, honestly. Like, people even grail supports at times, even though it really does nothing for them gameplay wise, just because they like the server. So don't feel bad about doing that if that's what you want to do. But let's get back to. Okay, we were at custom. Okay, so you said you had Chengong. Okay, here's another example. Chengong, he has a taunt for his first skill, so you can keep a copy of him at level 1 and then have a copy to level. Chengong is one of the best 1 to 3 star supports. He's really good. He's got the 1-turn taunt. He's got some slight MP gauge battery for everyone. The defensive up and damage cut's helpful. Massive buster up for an ally, and it works even better with berserkers. Just really good. And you can even farm with him, because his MP actually does quite a bit of damage. Of course, it does just yoink one of your units out of play, so do be wary of that. Oh, you like Gramps? Is it this year or? Hold on. Okay, I guess it's next year. Well, next year he will be rated up on next New Year. I'm pretty sure it's next New Year. King of Song. Onto the wrong one. Oopsie daisy. Yeah, he gets a raid up next New Year event. He might even get one in before that, but at the very least I do know that he gets one there. So you can look forward to that in a year's time. Okay, but yeah, Chengong, really good buster support. Can even be a little farmer for you, sort of. If you're willing to sacrifice units. Your other big buster support is Shakespeare. So Shakespeare is really useful because his third skill is a targetable 20% battery, and it doesn't scale, which means you can keep it at level 1, so you don't have to use mats on it, and it's a 20% battery, which is really useful with lower rarity units, because batteries don't really grow on trees, and so you really just have to level his buster up. And you said you had Hans. That's excellent, because Hans is well, people call him the mini Waver because he's just a really good universal support. He will help out all of your units. Buster, Arts, Quick, doesn't matter. Definitely recommend doing it like I did, leveling his skills. Unfortunately, I got him really late and already had Waver and stuff like that, so I hadn't got around to getting them up. But now, you do, hopefully you can get him that high MP level pretty quickly because his MP is very useful. And I definitely recommend, well, I definitely hope you can get that up quickly because it increases the chance of proccing all of his abilities, or all of the effects, all of which are really useful. So yeah, Hans is a really good support. You definitely want to raise him up, he'll do well with you. In fact, just with Hans and Mash, whose skills you also should be leveling, Mash's. Just those two alone can really stall out a lot of fights because of the healing and all the defensiveness and such. So those two in a DPS are really good lower rarity comps. Mozart's another you need to watch out for. He is your big art support. Well, one of them. There are a lot of art supports in low rarities. Quick is the card color that really gets mucked over, unfortunately, because they don't have one. But with Mozart, you want to get his arts up, and you want to get his third skill up. So his third skill, when it's at rank 10, gives you 50 crit stars, which means it's guaranteed crits. He gives you one turn of guaranteed crits. Every single card will crit. So that's what his third skill does. And then he has a massive arts up. And his second skill gets buffed. I think this upcoming anniversary. And it even becomes quite good as well. So he was already really good and they made it even better. So yeah, you definitely can't go wrong with him. Also, despite him being arts focused, the guaranteed crit is so useful that you can use him with Buster or Quick units as well. Honestly, there are a lot of low rarity. There are a lot of low rarity casters that are good to level. Because Hohenheim or Paracelsus is another good one for arts. And this lad, now he's story locked and you're a long way away from the part of the story where you get him unlocked. But Asclepius is outstanding, and he's one that I would recommend just on a class banner, which should be coming up in March. It's actually good to roll on like caster banner just to try to snag a couple copies of him because he's so good. He's got lots of heals, debuff resist, MP gain up, seals the MP of the enemy, debuff cleanse, and MP battery for everyone, and he gives guts to everyone, along with heals and one tick of debuff immunity. He's just outstanding. Because one thing you'll learn when you get deeper into the game and get more and more boss fights are buffs and debuffs really start to make a huge difference. The enemies start playing with them quite a bit. Station 11 and Camelot. You're pretty deep into Camelot. But yeah, you're a very long way away from when this lad shows up in the story. But no worries. One of the big struggles early game is because there's so many casters that are good to level and skill up, that you just never have enough caster gems for a while before you get caught up. So try not to get too frustrated in that regard because everyone goes through it. Casters are just really rough. Okay, we already went over Assassin, Asuka, and Kojiro. Now I actually don't have him here for some reason. He may be in my second archive. But Kurzdam isn't terrible either. I would say, personally, I think Kojiro edges him out a bit. But Asuka is the queen of 1 to 3 star single target assassins. And this lass is in dire need of buffs up the wazoo. She really needs help. Or this lad, AoE assassin. So Huma is very good. He's got very useful skills. He's got a targetable evade for an ally. He can, and then this one, you can nullify buff on the enemy, which means their buffs will whiff. Because typically their buffs will, say you break a boss's health bar, and then they are going to give themselves a bunch of buffs afterwards. Well, typically those buffs they happen at the same time, simultaneously. So even one tick of nullified buff will kill them all. It's very useful. And he does really good damage because he's an upgraded MP. The one issue with him though, and why you don't really need to worry about rushing him up, is because he needs his buffs to actually become that good. And his buffs are locked behind a story that you're quite far away from. In fact, it's an optional story. So you're in part 1 of the story. Well, and then currently we're in part 2 of the story. We're actually getting to the end of it in JP at least. But there's a 1.5 story that's in between that's optional. One of those you have to clear to be able to do his buffs. So you're quite a bit away from those. And it's one of the tougher ones too. So don't really be fussed about that. Berserker, you're already good because you have Heracles. There's not really a lot more to suggest there except Spartacus. He's a really good farmer. You can level his battery, which is his second skill, and his buster up if you want. Fluffy here, Asterios, is really good in certain fights. He's more of a he's niche. There are certain fights that he just makes trivial because of his MP, because it just debuffs the enemy so much that they can't hurt you anymore. But yeah, you're good with Heracles. You can get Spartacus up for farming, and you'll be okay. Special class. Presumably you only have Marsh at the time. At the moment. And yeah, just in general, get her skills up. That's all I can really suggest about that. She's really useful, and you will... Okay, we'll put it this way. If theoretically you were unable to use her for some reason, you're going to really miss her. Yeah, some new players are bad to neglect MASH because, I don't know, presumably they think, oh, she was just given to you. so she must be bad. But no, on the contrary, she's quite good. And it occurs to me that I forgot one archer, and that is this lad, Arash. So he and Spartacus can basically blow up 2 waves for you when you're farming. But Arash will kill himself in doing so. That's the downside. So he comes along, he nukes a wave, and then brings in your next servant. And the good news is you just have to level his 3rd skill. Well, actually, depending on how many copies of him, you can get his 2nd A-pin and not even have to level that, because that's 10% charge right there. And then you won't have to level this one very far to be able to get him to 100% MP gauge. Well, he's a good one. He's only for farming, really. Farming are very, very specific cases where you need to nuke like AoE health bars or something. So yeah, I'd get him up, but he can wait until you get David up and Robin. I believe that covers all of the... Yeah, I don't... Okay, I mentioned Ku, mentioned Leonidas. You have Romulus, he's in my 2nd archive. Gareth actually isn't terrible. She's pretty good. She's got a taunt. She's got her MP battery. She's pretty sticky. She's just held back by her rarity, really. She's certainly not a bad unit. It's hard to outshine Ku. Okay, so you leveled Heracles' attack. Okay, so a little tip about skill leveling. It won't even let me pull her up, will it? Blast. Okay, let's go to here. So a little tip about skill leveling. Batteries are really important. So typically, now of course this isn't 100% of the time, but a bulk of the time, the first skill you want to max out is actually the battery skill. Just because Noble Phantasms are really bloody strong. So in Mashi's case, for example, you would have wanted to... So the 7 you would have wanted to be her 2nd skill. That being said, her first skill is really good, especially when it gets upgraded, which I think you should be coming close to happening. And with Heracles, I just got this Heracles on this account, so he's not really kitted out or anything, but okay, 829. Okay, so you raise the guts, that's good. I would have raised the evade. So the way his kit works is it's kind of like Ku, where it's not so much having super high attack, it's he just sticks around so bloody long that he does so much. He does damage on. He gets more turns to do damage on, so it adds up to being a large amount of damage. So it's actually better to get these two skills cooldowns as low as possible. But so you did good at getting his guts up. That's why with Ku, for example, protection from arrows and then his guts. And of course disengage is really useful too, but I definitely say it's priority number 3 in that regard. But here's another thing. So I don't know if you've done any of the lost. How do I show these? Mysticodes. So, have you done any of the? Have you unlocked any of the free Mysticodes? The ones that are in the. They would be at Cordeia Gate. They'd be up here at the top. They'd be above daily quests. Yeah, they'd be up above here. I've just done them, so they're not there. They're 40 AP a piece, which is a bit rough, but well, as a new player, so there are two that. Okay, so of the 3, 2 of them are really useful. One of them's the plug suit, the combat uniform. But that's more for established accounts because it's for buff stacking where you have multiple supports that have their skills leveled and such. But Atlas is extremely useful because it has a so Heracles has his guts and has an evade. So there's 2 turns of survival, and then he has 3 more guts from his bonds craft essence. So that's 5 turns of survival. So it's going to take at least 6 turns for the enemy to fully kill him, provided they don't do like dot damage or something that cheeses him a bit. So that's like 6 turns of survival. Well, then you had your Mysticode. Well, here's a turn of invincibility. So that's 7 turns. Alright, but what's this? Lower an ally's skill cooldowns by 2 turns. So, to put that into perspective, I keep clicking on this instead of what I actually mean to. Bloody hell. Okay, where are you? So to put that into perspective, so 6 turns, 7 turns. Now, remember when I told you how many turns of survival he has already? Well, now you can cut 2 turns off the cooldown, so you can get all his skills back up, guaranteed. So that adds at least 2 more turns of survival to him. Well, 3 plus the 1 turn of invuln. So basically, you extend his value tremendously. And it works the same way with Ku. It's just a really good Ku's up here. See his protection from arrows, it's just 5 turn cooldown. So you take 2 off of that, and now it's just 3 turns. And this is just a 6 turn cooldown, so it'd go down to 4. So yeah, Atlas Mysticode is the single best solo Mysticode the majority of the time. Oh, also it has debuff cleanse, which is also really useful. You did the event ticket thing. Yeah, it would have been below those, so that's where those are. So yeah, when you get the chance, I definitely recommend trying to get the Atlas Mysticode. Also, the good thing about it is you don't have to worry about leveling it. You don't have to worry about spamming it to get its level up, because none of these scale. They're at full strength from level 1. The only difference is it lowers the cooldown, but the cooldown's still going to be so high, you're most likely only going to get used each of them once. Let's see if I can... Oh, it's the... Oh, I'm silly. It's the Heracles interlude. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I may be forgetting. Okay, Paris here is actually not bad as an archer either. It's good to hold him to, even if you don't want to level him, you can keep a level 1 copy of him because his first skill will remove the enemy's buffs. And that's really helpful. Also, about enemy buffs, or even your own buffs, sometimes you'll notice, unfortunately I don't have a visual aid for this, but occasionally you will notice there will be a white box around a buff or a debuff, and those mean it's unremovable. Unless there's a specific condition in the fight that will remove it, but generally you can't just buff removal or debuff removal. Now, unfortunately, they're not entirely consistent about putting the box around unremovable buffs. So sometimes a buff or a debuff will not have a box around it, but still be unremovable. Unfortunately, but that doesn't happen too often, thankfully. Also, we're going to YOLO 10 tickets into the void to see what we got here. See if we get luckier than we did with Say. That is funny. Got the judge. Here's an example of a unit that is unfortunately really bad. he could use some out. That's my first copy of it. It's not a particularly useful one, but it's worth holding on to, I suppose. Now that's one that's worth holding on to. So this craft essence, Holy Shroud of Magdalene, it's you equip this on a unit and it gives them 25% defense against male enemies, which is a very large portion of enemy bosses. So what you can do in a tough boss fight where you're using MASH is what am I even doing? Oh yeah, that was some funky stage. Okay, here's MASH. So you want to use MASH in a fight, right? Well, there are two 4-star craft essences that are both unlimited. They can pop up at any time. They're quite useful for her, or really any unit you want to be tanky. And that would be Holy Shroud of Magdalene. When it's MLB, so you have 5 copies of it, it gives you 30% special defense. That makes her tremendously tanky. Now, again, it only works against male enemies. So if the enemy's female or genderless, this is your best one. Iron Will Training, which just gives you 20% defense up against anything. So those are two craft essences that are really useful to hold on to. They're 4-star as well, so they should pop up fairly often. Here's another one, Art of Death, because this gives you, when MLB, 30% anti-humanoid damage, which is a massive portion of the enemies in the game, including enemy servants, for the most part, are humanoid. So it's just 30% extra damage against them. It's really good. So yeah, those are 3 really key 4-star craft essences to hold on to. Also, really important, hopefully you even got a copy of these on your starter roll. But, come on, right here. The Imaginary Element. This is unfortunately going to be removed from the game, or from the pool, sometime this year. But until then, hopefully you'll be able to roll it, because it's very useful. So, at regular, you start with 60% MP gauge, but at MLB it's 75%. And, it's just extremely useful. So hopefully you were able to snag one of those on your starter rolls, because it tends to drop there. But beyond those, for the most part, event craft essences. You just want to do events and make sure you get event craft essences, because they will fill out your craft essence roster pretty well. When it comes to permanent 5-star ones, these are pretty much the kings. Kaleidoscope and Black Grail. Unfortunately, they're extremely rare because most banners will have their own 5-star radar craft essences, which means getting a spook extremely unlikely. Oh yeah, the grid event. Should be able to complete it in a couple days at most, because that's when all the last of the quests unlock. Origin Bullet is a handy one to hold on to as well if you got spooked by it, because it gives you ignore invincibility as well as anti-caster. The ignore invuln is the big part for the most part, but this kind of stuff is just the cream of the crop, though, where it gives you a card type up and then starting MP gauge, and even better if it's full attack stat. Those are the real good ones, and this is arguably possibly the most broken CE in the game. Now to get this one, you roll on not the new summer event, but the rerun of last year's summer event is where this one comes from. Nicer. Make sure you keep a hold of that. You probably won't be able to get 5 copies to be able to MLB it before it gets removed from the general pool, but it's still 60% starting charge. Gondor. Okay, well, the Imaginary Element's really good, so definitely make sure you hold on to that. Gondor is, if you don't have anything else, it's fine, but on a quick unit, of course, but other than that, it's not spectacular. Okay, this craft is Sweet Crystal. So it's full attack, 50% starting C, ignore invincible. This is really good, and you could actually get it, well, eventually. So you know you have mana prisms, and then pure prisms, and then you have rare prisms. Well, Sweet Crystal comes from the rare prism shop. Now unfortunately it's pretty expensive. It's 5 rare prisms per copy, and of course, to get it all, you need 5 copies. But even 1 copy of it is useful because it's starting charge and invuln pierce, which is really helpful. So as you get rare prisms, which they'll come in time, don't really worry about that too much. That's a good target. Other ones are things like Anniversary Blonde is another Mystic card. It's really good for Buster units in particular, like Heracles. And command cards and the like, but priority probably be Sweet Crystal. Oh, that's a shame that you were told that. Now, they're right in that that's really useful, but that's more when your account's really established and you can just farm like a machine. That's when that comes into play really handily. Early on, it's better to use them on things to really help you out. I need to grab that actually. But no worries, you'll get, as long as you keep playing, you'll get rare prisms. Yeah, them up there. Yeah, let's get back to summoning. Finish out these. I would definitely not use rare prisms on FP. They're way too valuable. The FP will come eventually. There's Medea. Like, you will get them, but unless you are another formal craft. So I have at least 3 copies of that now. Formal craft in particular is pretty interesting because it's arts and it's full attack. And there are certain arts units where if you just really pump up their arts and just touch blue the entire time, they just could theoretically become kind of loony. Well, art. What is this? Caster. I think that's in B4. I think. Cersei's, she's an interesting unit because she's one that, for some reason, the devs really muck over because her gimmick is her MP will turn an enemy into a pig for a turn, which is effectively a stun. But for some reason, they very specifically code the overwhelming majority of bosses that she would be useful against to be immune to being turned into a pig specifically. It's actually pretty funny. Is that CE experience? I wonder. Okay, here's the last roll. What's servant? Archer. And what's the bonus going to be? Ragnarok, prepping us for Bazette next year. Alrighty. Let's get her. Okay, so that was the 4th copy of it. We'll be ready for when our MP upgrade comes in a little under 2 years. I think she got an MP upgrade. I didn't dream that, did I? Let's have anything else. Alright, we got another copy of her as well. I should probably check paper and skills. How many coins are you at? 30. Huh. I'm saving these for something, I think. Probably. What's her bombs? I still need to bombs her up a bit. She was my first MP5 4-star unit that wasn't a welfare. Got her when I rolled for Rescue Girl. Speaking of rare prisms and the like, let's go ahead and clear out my inventory a bit. I need to get rid of all these fires. Alright. Do you have any questions about the game at all that maybe I've not covered or thought to mention? Oh, one thing I could show. Let's see, craft essences. They told you to get. Let's see, what was it called? A lunchbox? Lunchbox. That's tea time. Lunchbox, tea time. This is Bella Lisa. Okay, that's lunchtime. Presumably, you meant lunchtime. Yeah. So, I understand what they were thinking because, oh, you've got Heracles, you want to get his bond up as quickly as possible. The issue is, as you yourself said, you need 5,000 mana prisms to get all 5 copies of it. Because until you get all 5 copies of it, it's pretty much worthless. And you're on a fresh account. It's going to take a very long time. Okay, the best way to shoot your mana prisms up that high is to just no life grind a lottery event, which unfortunately are quite a ways away now because you've missed the most recent one, which was last month, early last month. But to be fair, a new account, like I'm talking serious grinding here to get that many mana prisms, and doing that on a new account would absolutely make you pull your hair out. So I understand what they were thinking, but I don't think they realized how long it would take a new account to be able to actually use it. But yeah, it's definitely something that you can grab in the future. Do I have... I don't think I grabbed it on this account because I have Poster Girl, which is just better. Oh, that was my second copy of that one. I thought I already had some extra copies. Oh wow, I only have one copy of both of those. This craft essence, if it spooked you sometime, Prismacosmos, you can slap that on a support unit pretty handily. It gives them some steady MP gauge. It lessens the need to waste your attacks on throwing your support science cards out there to get them game to an extent. It'd be really nice if this popped up on a banner again, because this is a really useful craft essence. But it's been over 2 years now since the last time that showed up. And I do have 3 of these. Should probably go ahead and combine them. I don't remember what you are. Okay. You came from the summer banner, didn't you? Probably. Ah, that's something I can tell you. I don't even know if you're even still here, honestly. But I'll say it anyway. Leveling craft essences. So QP, early on an account, you're going to feel like, oh, I'm just rolling in QP. It's no problem. Until you start leveling higher rarity servant skills and ascending them. And then your QP is just going to disappear and you'll cry. But there's another thing too, which is leveling craft essences, where your QP will just suddenly disappear on you, and that's because, so let's say, okay, we'll grab this. So let's say I have Battle of Camelon here. We'll just throw these two on. So throwing these two on, it would only cost 960 QP. But what if I grabbed, let's say, Traces of Christmas here and threw them on? Oh, look at that! It costs 15,624 QP. That's a bit of a difference, isn't it? That's because the amount of QP it costs to enhance a craft essence rises exponentially based on the level of the said craft essence. What this means is, it's best to, QP efficiency wise, it's best to do this thing called craft essence bombing, which is where you take low rate craft essences. I recommend the 2-star ones, just because they're a little bit more efficient, because they can go up to 55. And you want to level them up to their cap. So in this case it'd be 55. And you want to do, the reason you want to do that is because it stores all that experience up in it. Which means, let's see. So watch, this one's level 9. If I threw this bomb on there, all of a sudden it'd be level 4. Well, it would go a lot higher than 40. It's just this one's capped at 40, unfortunately for me. But yeah, so it's something, because frankly, the low rank craft essences are going to be clogging your inventory. So instead of burning them, it's better just to go ahead and start making bombs with them for when you get a craft essence that you really you're sure you want to level. Of which are the ones like Aerial Drive here, which you will be able to get next October. This will come back, thankfully. So if you're still playing by then, which hopefully you are, make sure to get it, because this is one of the best. This is a really good craft essence. It's full attack, it's buster up, it's MP strength up, and it's 50% MP battery starting. But those are the kind that you want to level. Traces of Christmas is the same, but for quick. And then there's an arts one coming in this upcoming summer event, which is like an arts form of Aerial Drive. So it's really good as well. And then of course, Kaleidoscope and Black Veil are ones you'd want to level. If you ended up with Honey Lake, that's a no-brainer. Generally the really good 5-star full attack craft essences that you have 5 copies of that you've MLB'd, because otherwise they can't go up to level 100 anyway. But yeah, you're a long way from really having to worry about that. It's just something that, hey, it gets you a head start to go ahead and start on it now, and it keeps your craft essence inventory a little cleaner by throwing all the junk ones onto these bombs to level them up. And it will save you a ton of QP in the long run. Generally it takes about 7, I think it's 7 fully leveled craft essence bombs to take a craft essence from level 1 to 100. So you could theoretically go from 1 to 100 if you had like 7 bombs ready to go. That's the absolute most division, but generally it's okay to just pop them in as they're complete. It's just what I've been doing, because I've been leveling this one, for example. So I could throw that on it, it'd take it up to 79. But since I've already so close on the other one, I'm just waiting on it. So app-in skills. Do you have any questions about those? Because the coin systems are... I'm honestly not... Okay. So on paper, okay. The concept of the coin system itself is fine, the execution is dreadful. But I've ranted about it in previous streams, so... In your case... it's not something that you would immediately have to bother with, because you're just starting out, but it is useful because it's going to be available eventually for your 3-star and lower units as you get more copies of them. I could pretty much sum it up with generally the most universally useful one is the second one, the MP gauge, starting with it. There are exceptions, like Ku, for example, here. I got his third passive first because there's a particular boss coming up in a future story chapter that's going to be really useful against. And then with solo units, an extra attack boost is really helpful as well, because it's just a lot more damage, because you're going to be getting their extra attack every turn anyway. But with 1 to 3-star units, at least as long as they're not limited or story locked or something, you'll be able to get all of them eventually anyway, so it doesn't particularly matter. Well, you get coins from bond levels and from just copies of the units. That's it. Bond levels and extra copies. That's why I say eventually you will get enough to start getting stuff on your 1 to 3-star servants. As for your gold servants, that depends on various factors of whether they're 5 stars or whether they're limited or not. Actually, I think do I have anything more to announce? How many? I have 6. I need to hold 3 back for Mysterious Heroine X, just in case. So I can't go too crazy here. I will go ahead and do this though, because it's Mordred. Turbo MP2. Oh! Have you picked your free file? Wait, never mind. That doesn't. Oh. Okay. Are you aware that there's a free 5-star ticket coming during anniversary? Well, I say during anniversary, but it's permanent. It just gets released during the anniversary. Unless they somehow release it early, which I don't think they will. Probably. But essentially, tried it last year. Oh, you tried an account last year? Ah. Well, if you have a PC, you can always use the emulator. BlueStacks plays it quite well. It's what I am forced to do because I don't have a phone. Also, helps with streaming since it's already on the PC. Nice. Well, there's going to be another one of those tickets, except it's permanent. So any new account starting from this upcoming anniversary forward will be able to pick a free 5-star server. Now, unfortunately, the list cuts off after Europa. So Europa is the newest permanent 5-star servant that is on the list. So no Odysseus or Vritra, which is a bloody shame because I have a feeling those two would be picked a decent amount. Probably. Well, maybe not on new accounts. New accounts would probably just pick Waver, because he does completely change your account when you get in. He really speeds things up because of all the MP battery he gives. It really makes fights quicker, generally smoother. So you said you liked King Hassan. Are there any other servants that you quite take a fancy to? Because, again, while it's obviously ultimately your decision, I would recommend doing some roles on something before Castor Autoria comes, just so you can, at the very least, get some of your MP levels up for your 3-star servants. Also, you said earlier you don't have Ushi, and Ushi's really nice. That being said, she does get rated up on not this event, but the event that's going to be after, because it's an Ushi focused event. So that'd be a good time to get her. Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh. I don't. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a bit for Gilgamesh. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. Ah, no. So you like Girl and you like Festus Song. Have you tried Romulus, like Romulus Quirinus at all? Yeah, this year is just full of really nice banners, honestly. It really is. That's actually why I have so many bloody alt accounts that I stream. Okay, Castorian Summer Comet. Yeah, that would do it. That would take care of traditional farming. Would be taken care of if you got Castor Otoria and MP2 or higher Summer Comet. So you're not wrong there. Oh, Zhongyu. I think you could use the ticket on him. Cause hold on, I'm having brain-tisms. Let's see. Yes, Zhongyu is one you can pick. Okay, I can just go over the list of the servants that are available. So for Saber, there's Altera, Artoria, or Mordred. Mordred, who I'll be picking on the main account, getting her more MP levels. He's an AoE Berserker though. So Heracles is single target, so he's not AoE. Archer, there's Arjuna, Artemis / Orion, Napoleon, Nikola Tesla. Lancer, you have Artoria Lancer, Enkidu, who's even so remember how much I said Ku was just outstanding and just incredible? Well, Enkidu is 5-star version of Ku, basically. Just ludicrously strong servant. Karna, and then Bradamante, who I'm really annoyed they didn't buff. Rider. Before June. Well, there's the Caldea's Boys collection in March. Okay, so there's that, and there's also a class-based summoning campaign. But we'll cover the Boys collection right now. So basically every permanent male 5-star unit will get a raid up. Male or male appearing units will get a raid up during that event. So in that case, for AoE Rider, your options are Odysseus, who I would recommend over the next one, which is Nemo. Wait, is Nemo AoE? I always forget if Nemo is AoE or single target. Okay, he's single target. Well, I wouldn't recommend him anyway. Okay, so basically, Odysseus for AoE Rider, or Ozymandias. Ozymandias is another one of the strongest servants in the game, and then Achilles for AoE Rider. Achilles and Ozymandias are really similar to each other. They have really similar kits, it's just one's quick and one's arts. So it's kind of just whichever one strikes your fancy more. And then Ozymandias is really bloody good. He's single target, he's okay, he's another one that's really reliant on skill ranks. If you're able to level his skills, if you're able to really level his skills, which unfortunately, okay, so his mats on the whole aren't, okay, on paper they aren't terrible, and they're kind of useful because a lot of them are mats that aren't used by many other servants. The issue is he needs quite a few of them, so it could be a bit rough on a newer account. Now the good news is they're pretty much all Camelot mats, and you're in Camelot, so you'll be getting them. And then once you do the fruit lid, and then you'll be able to grind the free quests, farm the free quests in Camelot to get them. So that would be helpful. Okay, so you like Quick and Buster. Wait, you don't like arts? In that case, why would you be rolling for Castor or Toria? Let's see. So yeah, that's those are your options for Rider. So yeah, Ozymandias, Odysseus, or Achilles. All of which, except Odysseus, you could snag a second copy. Theoretically, you could get a copy of them on the boys collection, and then get MP2 from the ticket on anniversary, unless you wanted to pick Waiver. That being said, Waiver is available during this event as well, so you could just roll for Waiver. Yeah, she's used for farming with arts units. But if farming is what you're worried about, Buster gets the capability of doing so this year as well, with the anniversary servant, which is Cohen Sky of Light. So you might want to take a moment to look about and see whether you like Castor or Toria or her more in that regard. Now, purely objectively, okay, so if we're going purely objective gameplay, arts is king, and has been for a while now, since Castor or Toria came out. She's just honestly a bit silly with her kit, but then Buster is second. Is also really bloody strong. Between Coin Sky of Light and Maryland. Quick, unfortunately, is bringing up the rear, which they've claimed they're going to work on, but we'll say it's still a work in progress. Yeah, Coin Sky of Light gives Buster the ability to farm as well. That being said, it's arguably more expensive even. Or could be. Because you... trying to think what are the sort of Space Ishtar / Astartes, Summer Karma, Summer Kiara, Summer Musashi, Summer Ibuki equivalents for Buster. Or Arcuade, but she's not this coming anniversary, but the year after. So she's 2 years away, just about. She's probably, I think she's the premier one right now. She's the queen of that. Maou Nobu as well. She can do it. In fact, that's what I'll be going for on my Buster account. If you like the Knights of the Round Table, in May, which to be fair is getting pretty close to June there's going to be a Grailfront event called Super Camelot, and it has all of the Knights of the Round Table that are in the game at the time rated up. So Gawain, Tristan, Lancelot, Mordred, Lancer Artoria. This is actually bugging me. Where's... oh. I shouldn't even have it bookmarked. For Buster servers. I do indeed. Okay, so the best universal Buster farmers are Arcuade, Astarte, aka Space Ishtar. Oberon can, but I believe he would need higher MP levels. Melusine, so she's interesting because she's both Arts and Buster. Her third skill, well, her third skill and what Ascension you have her in determines what her Noble Phantasm is. She has two different ones. One of them is a single target Arts Noble Phantasm, and the other is an AoE Buster one. So yeah, she's outstanding servant. The Mia apparently is pretty good. Caster Cuchulainn. Now this with him is he's story locked. You'd also have to grail the absolute dickens out of him to get him up there. Saber Artoria, Lancer Artoria, Bunny Artoria, which is the summer one, and then Goyenskaya herself are pretty good. Ah, Morgan. There we go. Morgan would be a good one to go for a universal buster farmer. Because all you need is you can go double Goyenskaya and the Atlas Mysticars, which I believe is what you're working on getting. Of course, the caveat is all of these require a non-MLB minimum. Okay, it requires a K-scope, a kaleidoscope. The good news is, during our Kuwait's anniversary, you get a ticket that lets you pick a 5-star craft essence, which can be kaleidoscope. So there is that.
Yeah.
Now the thing about it is, if you were willing to roll the story banner, you would actually have a much better chance of getting like Kaleidoscope or Black Grail, because I don't know if you've watched like longer rolling streams where people roll a decent bit, but generally you get quite a few 5-star craft essences. And the general non-limited pool of 5-star craft essences is not all that vast. So if you rolled story and a decent bit, you would stand a good chance of getting the Kaleidoscope or two, Black Grail or two. Now, Muramasa. Yeah, that would be, what is he? This lad over here, Senji Muramasa. Now, speaking of, he is a good AoE Saber farmer with Caster Otoria. I just don't particularly care for him, personally. But he's perfectly good servant. Now, the thing about Story Banner though, and this is the reason most people will be like, yeah, don't bother rolling on it, which is because there's no raid ups. It's just whatever's in the permanent pool is what you can get. There's no oh yeah. Like in this case, Tamashark's rated up. So if you get a 5-star servant, 80% of the time it's going to be her. But in Story Banner, there's no such thing. If you get a 5-star servant, it could be any of the 30 something, I want to say it's in the lower 30s number of 5-star servants that are permanent, something like that. But again, if there's not a banner available that you have interest in, and you're wanting some of the good craft essences, early on you're perfectly fine rolling some story. It also depends on if you don't have a lot of servants that you're really super interested in, then you're not really hurting yourself for doing so. Especially if you've already acquired them. So yeah, don't feel bad about rolling a couple 300 or so St. Courts on story just to get yourself started, if you've not come up with another banner that you want to roll on. I believe we were looking at the should be early March, the Chaldea Boys collection, which is the Slapstick Museum, I believe is this particular one. You can roll for a rider or something there. Just things to think on. Most of the other banners between now and then are full of like female servants and stuff, and since you mentioned Gilgamesh and Fierce to Son, yeah, that's very understandable. Just hopefully you'll be able to find people on your support list that happen to have some of the servants you're interested in, so you can try them out. Like this person has that super Gilgamesh over here. Got a good Aussie too. This is always painful though. I understand why they put it there, because, oh, you're using a rider, you're going to be farming the doors to get QP, so we'll slap Bella Lisa on there. The issue is when you're doing like a boss fight and you're like, okay, the enemy's a caster, so I need a good rider to fight it, and then they slap that on there. It's like, oh no, they don't have a CE. That's why I try to keep those kind of support CEs like this, or an actual supports like Waver, Marilyn, or Scotty, Caster or Toya, or the like. It has helped a bit though now that we have 3 lists instead of 1 that can share up. Of course, that also requires people taking advantage of us having that capability, but not many seem to be doing so. How goes the acquiring that Mystic Code? I think there were 3 fights? I think it's 3 fights. It's been so long since I've done them. They're a bit tanky though, especially at your point in the game. Oh, the orange one can wait. You can wait on that until you actually get Castor or Toya or Korinskaya, whatever you decide on aiming for. I will say though, now, despite her being arts, she is so ludicrous that you can use her with other servants as well and be perfectly fine. Because she does give a generic attack up and just general MP gain and lots of protection. But yeah, the plug suit Mystic card is, so its big use is again stacking buffs. So it kind of needs you to have a bunch of skilled out, really good support units to stack buffs on your DPS, and then switch in a fresh one to stack their buffs on it. You covered it at a good time because this Mystic Card was actually bugged for the longest time. The Gonda here, which it inflicts stun on an enemy. So now it doesn't actually say this, but what these are, the way they work is, what it actually is. It's got a 500% chance of inflicting stun on an enemy because that's the way the game's carded. But it was bugged on the global server for a very long time, to where instead of a 500% chance, it was a 100% chance. The issue is you have to factor a servant's magic resists against that 100% chance, which means that what is supposed to be a guaranteed stun quite often failed, which could really get you into a pickle if you were counting on that stun. But they finally stealth fixed it at some point. Also, in the future, we're getting a free version of the. Well, that one's free too, but one you don't have to. Well, I guess you technically unlock it because you do the story. We're getting an alternate version of the plug suit in the story. It's a decent bit away though. It's like the end of next year. Wait. No. It's It's like a couple months after the end of next year. It's quite a ways away, unless they really shuffled the schedule. Which they might, I don't know. Things are wonky. Things are quite wonky. But yeah, unless you have any more questions, I should probably wrap up the stream now. So go ahead and shoot if there's anything you need to know that I haven't covered, anything that's confusing you or anything like that. Alrighty then. Thanks for watching, and hopefully it helped you out some. Hopefully you're able to remember, because I know I unloaded a lot of information on you, but hopefully you'll be able to remember it. Of course, the vault will be here if you need to look over anything. Yeah, no worries. Get some sleep, mate. hopefully you keep enjoying the game. I'd recommend not necessarily trying to rush through it and just experiment with lots of different servants, try solo in a bit when you get 2 taunters. So, let's see. There are 3 easily accessible taunters. I could probably show better this way. So you've got Shen Gong. Okay, easily accessible taunters that have their first skill having the taunt, which means you can leave them at level 1 and have your little taunters. So that'd be George, Shen Gong, and Leonidas. Also, I can't believe I forgot to do this, but the craft essence you want to put on the taunters, the best one that's available now, there is a better one, but even I missed it. It was super early in the game. There's the craft essence called Pieta. It's just a better version of this one. But Battle of Kenlong. You want 2 MLB copies of that eventually. So don't burn those. Hold on to them. Also, don't immediately start stacking them because you want a copy on each taunter that you could potentially put on. You want 2 copies, basically. You want 2 copies at all times. And then eventually MLB them both as you get extra copies. Now what this does is, when the servant that has it equipped gets ganked, dies, it will give the rest of the allies on the field MP battery. So pre-MLB is 10%, but then it goes up to 15%. So that's a free 20 to 30% battery, just for having these 2 kick the bucket. And then give your solo unit free reign to wreck phase. Yeah, so that's an important thing to mention. Now, I will go ahead and tell you, if you're unlucky, it can be quite annoying to get enough copies of this, because again, you need 10, because you need 2 MLB copies eventually. But like, even some of my alts don't even have the 2 MLB copies, which is sad, but it's the way it is. Also, if you have a DPS, like you have Heracles, if you want to use Heracles, then you would want to grab a level 1 taunter from the support list as opposed to the DPS. So there's also that option. Then you'd only need 1 MLB copy. So that's something to watch out for. But I think that'll just about wrap it up. There's a shame our rolls were very unlucky, but it happens. Hopefully get some bad luck out of the way and we'll have some good luck from here on out this year. I'm not going to hold my breath, but that'll be all for now. So hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something, and see you next time.